Today, I'm building dinosaur battle mechs based on 8 different species, and they'll get bigger and more complex as we go. For the first mech, I picked up the Raptor Off-Road Escape set. It comes with Ruben and Isabella from Jurassic World, and you also get this really cool looking off-road vehicle that has some sticker details and great colors. The first dinosaur you get is a velociraptor that can jump out of the bushes with a sliding mechanism. The other dinosaur is a tiny aquilops, and I want to build a battle mech for it. Starting with a simple platform for the bottom of the cockpit, I've used a plate and bar to mount some weapons to the side and top before attaching it to the base. I mirrored the design to the other side and closed off the front with a tiled plate and some droid arms. I blocked off the back of the mech and moved on to building the waist and hips. I built a simple tail and then I moved on to the legs. I used a ball joint and added a pointed tile for leg armor, and then I built the feet with another ball joint, textured slope, and inverted slope. After attaching the foot to the leg, I copied the design to the other side, and now all that's left are the arms. I used bar and clip pieces for a very basic design, and I got them connected to the torso, adding a stud shooter gun for a little bit of firepower. This is a pretty goofy looking mech, but I like how it turned out. I always enjoy the challenge that a smaller mech brings because each part you choose to include affects the stance and feel of the final design. For the next mech, I picked up the brick-built Mosasaurus boat mission. You get 2 of the main characters from Jurassic World Rebirth, along with a downsized version of the boat from the movie. Overall, I like the aesthetic, and it comes with a storage case for trank darts. The Mosasaurus is a great build with lots of nice printed details, and the ball joints make it super posable. I want to turn this thing into a war machine, so I started by stripping off all the exterior details so I have a blank slate for modification. Beginning with the middle section, I built some armor plating around both sides of the body, and I added a metal cockpit to the top for a back-mounted seating position. I closed it off with a windshield piece, and I moved on to the next section. I built more armor plating in a similar style on both sides, and I created a mounting point on the back where I can add a torpedo launcher in just a minute. I connected both sections together and added the tail back to the end before working on the rear fins. I grabbed a turbine housing and a fan and created a mounting point to connect where the rear fins used to be so the Mosasaurus can be outfitted with a major speed boost. For the fins at the front of the dino, I rebuilt them in gray and added stud shooters to the edges for some short-range firepower. I also built some large laser cannons and used a hose piece on the back of the fin to bring power to the cannon. After attaching it to the dinosaur, I duplicated the design and connected it to the other side. The final section to build is the head, and I decided to make it an armored helmet for the Mosasaurus using wedges and slopes to give it an intimidating look. I attached the head, and then I built a torpedo launcher using round bricks and a couple of ski poles for targeting. After getting everything connected, this mech is finished. I like the final result here a lot more than I expected to, and I think the Mosasaurus looks really menacing with all of its add-ons. They don't bulk the build up too much, but they make it seem ready for battle and like it would really do some damage if it was used in combat. The next set I bought is the Allosaurus transport truck. It has a pretty large truck and trailer combo that you can use to load an Allosaurus up onto the back, and you can lock it in place for moving from one location to another. If you push on this lever, the sides drop down for the dino to break free. I love the color scheme for this dinosaur, and it has a super detailed printed design which makes it look more realistic. I want to make this a rideable dino mech, so the first thing I need to do is make a saddle and attach it to the studs on the back. I added a power pack behind the driver's seat and attached a few armor pieces to the side for protection with mounting spots for weapons. I built a rotary cannon with a gear piece and some rounded Technic parts, finishing the front with a pointed cone. I attached it to the saddle and used a hose piece to connect it to the power pack. After duplicating it to the other side, I added some more armor plating on the sides. I used pointed tiles to make some more armor on the back of the saddle and did the same to finish off the front. The last thing I want to do is build some mechanical arms, so I removed the existing arms and built metal arms with some really long sharp claws. I added a saw blade for extra damage capabilities, and after attaching the arm and copying it to the other side of the dinosaur, the build is complete. This was a fun and easy mod to do, but I think it ended up looking pretty decent. I like how the arms turned out, and I love the concept of dinosaurs being modded for battle in a hybrid part dino, part machine creation. In this next set, I'll be doing builds for both of the dinosaurs, but I really like this one because it comes with so much stuff. You get a tree that has a play feature where you can knock it over. There's also this detailed convenience store with old food, an ATM machine, and you even get a little drone to mount on top. The last things you get are a small off-road vehicle with a trailer and a motorbike with a couple of minifigures from Jurassic World. The first thing I want to do is build a full battle mech for this velociraptor that comes in the set. I started with a long base for the cockpit so the whole dinosaur can can fit inside. I added some parts to round out the left and right, and then I closed off the front with a chest piece. I wanted to bulk things up a little bit more, so I added some slopes and detail pieces on the sides to enclose the dinosaur even more. I attached some booster engines to the back of the mech for flight, and I plated over the studs with an armor piece for protection. I built some pretty short arms since that's relatively realistic for a velociraptor, and then I made some hands with sharp claws and a thumb so it can hold on to weapons. I connected it to the wrist and copied the design to the other side of the torso. The next part I started on was shoulder armor. I grabbed this stickered armored piece and bulked it up a little bit with some more slopes on the front and back. After building a second one, I connected the shoulder armor to both sides. Next, I added even more armor plating on top of the mech so it tapers down to the shoulders for plenty of protection. I used some rounded bricks to extend the torso and built a waist using a turntable piece with slopes and ingots. After connecting it to the body, I moved on to the legs. I used more armor slopes and grills along with the same pieces for the shoulder armor to make the thigh extra bulky. For the lower leg, I used this mechanical looking piece for the front and connected more booster engines for mobility. I used a bunch of wedges and some grill slopes for the feet and got everything connected. I copied the design to the other side, and I think this is looking great. For the top of the mech, I built a couple of rocket launchers with ski poles for targeting, and I attached them to the left and right shoulders. For the main weapon, I used this blaster shell with a spring-loaded shooter and a couple of bionicle wings for extra style points. Overall, I love how this turned out. It looks pretty intense, and I like the sand blue and dark gray color combination. The weapons are fun, and the whole dinosaur actually fits inside the cockpit, which is great. This is probably the most dangerous mech so far, but I'm not done yet. For the Titanosaurus, I want to make another rideable dinosaur, but I want to try a bit of a different approach. After attaching a saddle, I worked on building a bunch of different clip and hinge armor pieces to give this dino plenty of protection, along with some good attachment points for accessories. I connected a generator to the front of the saddle and built a large antenna with a stud shooter to attach to the side of the saddle. I want this dinosaur to be a mobile command station, so I'm giving it more comms attachments than weapons. I built a large satellite dish to mount toward the back of the dinosaur, and I put together another satellite using minifigure ski pieces to mount on the opposite side. This turned out just as I hoped it would, and I like that it's a bit of a different concept. A tall dinosaur like this would be great for spotting danger and keeping communications gear safe and out of the way up on its back. The next mech is from the Dreams theme, which actually gives you two different options so you can choose which dino you want to build. You get a little speeder for Cooper that attaches to the back of the mech, and the set actually comes with some decent mobility along with an awesome selection of stickers for detail. I like the T-Rex inspired option for the final build, but I think the pterodactyl option would be a really fun one to try out as well. This set feels a little expensive at $80, but I got it on sale, so it was totally worth it. The next mech I want to build comes from the Triceratops research set. Aside from the classic vehicle that comes with it, you also get a big pile of dinosaur poop and a shovel for cleaning it up. Along with that comes this Triceratops, which I want to make into a tank mech. I decided to swap over to a different Triceratops that I have because I think the colors might work a little bit better with what I have in mind. To start with, I built a large shell for the main cockpit that will comfortably fit the entire Triceratops. I left mounting holes on the sides for legs, and I got started with the shoulder. I built up armor plating with slopes and ingots and used rounded slopes for the outer shoulder. I attached some armor plates with droid arms, and I built a lower leg section with some slopes and pointed grill tiles. I used wedge plates to make the feet and used another armor plate piece with a droid arm to create a shin guard above the foot. With the leg completed, I attached it to the side of the mech, and then I created 3 copies of this leg to turn the mech into a quadruped. I left this attachment point on the front for a mounted cannon. I built the weapons using tiles and some dish pieces with tubes for the barrels and connected it to the chest. On the back of the mech, I want to enclose the Triceratops, so I built 2 of these large armor panels that I attached with bars and clips so they can open and close above the dinosaur. The final touch for this build are some massive cannons. I used a piece from an older Republic gunship, and I built a long barrel on the front with some bulky Technic wheels on the back to make this look really intimidating. After attaching both cannons to the back of the mech, this build is complete and ready for battle. This mech might be my personal favorite from the video because it looks so crazy with all the weapons, and it's something totally different from what I normally do. It was a challenge to figure out how to fit the whole dinosaur inside, but I love the end result. The final mech for this video is the T-Rex versus Dino mech battle. This set has a lot of great stuff like this mountain that slides open to reveal a treasure chest and a yellow boat that can fit all the little dinosaurs. Included in the set, you get Blue, Charlie, Delta, and Echo. You also get a molded T-Rex that looks awesome with great articulation and printing. The T-Rex mech uses an iconic color scheme with lots of well-designed stickered details. It's exactly what I was picturing when I was thinking what a mech would look like if it was based off the Jurassic Park Ford Explorer. Dinosaur. It would make for a perfect battle mech, and it's definitely my favorite Jurassic Park set. If you want to see this mech fight an Indominus Rex and Indoraptor as part of a giant dinosaur build, you should go check out my friend MKM Brick's video on the end screen now. Comment below to tell me what mechs I should make in the future, and thanks for watching.